guys, MoronUnited here, and you're tuning into week 2 of the Reviewing Rainbow on Thursday. This week I thought I'd do something a little differently. I thought I'd review a console, actually. And that would be... can't get much more classic than this. The Atari 400. Technically, it's not really a video game console, it's a home computer. But you hook it up to the TV, and I consider it to be a game console, because it really didn't do too many computer things, more just game stuff. Came out in, I believe, November of 1979. It came out in 2 models, the 400 and the 800. Although, by the time it was released, both systems were using the 8 kilobytes of RAM, so it didn't really matter. The other one, the 800 has an extra port, cartridge port for the 800 game. It's made of, like, it goes, like, to metal and stuff. It's rather bulky and huge. A little dusty. It is rather huge, like I said. There's a wire jutting out from the back, which does not come out. It's permanently into the system. And you can't just plug this into the TV, of course, because it's the 70s and we gotta make things complicated. Plugs into this box that everybody knows these, they're horrible. But you can just plug this into one of those other switches and screw that box. Moving on to a little bit of the system itself. There's a few buttons on it. It's just reset, select, start, and options. Nothing too fancy, but power switches on the side and some ports for God knows what, I don't even know. And the cool thing is the keyboard is built onto the system, which is pretty awesome actually, which contributes to why it's so huge and bulky and why it's not very practical, because the wire is not that long, so you either have to like mount this on a table, or putting it on your lap is kind of awkward because it's really heavy. But it came in the most enormous box in the world. It's like basically a computer box. It's huge. And they used to sell different packs, which you don't really see nowadays with even computers or anything, or video game consoles. They had like the Entertainer pack, which came with games and controllers, communicator, which comes with a phone. Yes, there's a phone attachment. You got the programmer if you want to like program your own stuff, which is insanely complicated, and the educator for like educational games. We got states and capitals and basic. I think it's math. I don't even know. Sounds horrible, but so yes, when you bought, I have the basic one, and it just comes with the system. That's it. There's some like programs on this, not really though. It's pretty awful. But if you want to get the most out of it, you buy the joysticks, which it doesn't come with any controller, so you gotta buy some. And the interesting thing about it is it came in packs of 2. I only have 2 games, because finding Atari 400 games in the wild is near impossible, so I only have the games that I've had the system with. So we got, first is the classic Missile Command, and it's a very faithful port of the game. It's very fun. The controls are spot on. It's from 1981, and it's Missile Command. You control your bases and you shoot the enemies. It's pretty basic, but a lot of fun. And you may ask why the boxes are so huge. I have no idea. I think it's because they didn't think of the genius thing of making smaller manuals yet. So they made these enormous manuals with binder holes, which is actually pretty cool. You can put these all in a binder if you want. Full color and stuff. A lot of instructions to play Missile Command, which is kind of odd because it's a very simple game, but whatever. So yeah, Missile Command, and it comes with, here's a little tip, the cartridges have no artwork or anything. They're not, they don't have end labels either. It assumes that you're retarded and can't, like, jam the cartridge in right. But yeah, it just says Missile Command on it. and you just pop it in there, clicks in, and you just pull it out. But yeah, cool little cartridge. It's very unique. You don't really see these anywhere, because nobody wants to remember this thing. And the game I most know, one of Star Raiders. This is one of the most brutal games I think I've ever played. It's not hard. It's just the amount of things they require you to do is astounding. Because the system uses the regular joysticks, and Star Raiders uses both the system's key, basically every key on the keyboard, and the joystick simultaneously, which is a near impossible feat, because this alone requires two hands. This isn't like a mouse and a keyboard, where a mouse you only need one hand and the other one can be using the keyboard for computer games like today. This you need two hands because it uses the button. So you gotta keep jumping back and forth. It's basically a two-player game where you just have one of your friends, if you can get a friend to play this terrible. One of them mans the keyboard and one of them mans the joystick. The objective is pretty simple. Just shoot every star base, I don't even know what they call them. The Atari Federation and the Xylon Empire. Ooh. Destroy all Xylon starships on sight. But you have limited fuel, and they don't really tell you that until you run out of fuel and you want to kill somebody because you got so far. The hyperwarping is convoluted, it's confusing, it makes no sense. There's just so many things you have to do, and there's skill levels, survival tactics, technical information. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But you can kind of just ignore this and try and have fun. And it is a lot of fun. Barely anything on screen. It's just a lot of white dots and blackness. But it's a pretty fun game once you get the hang of it. Very classic. 1980. Even older than Missile Command. Another thing interesting about Star Raiders is that the early copies, they actually put a typo on the cartridge, which is kind of ridiculous if you think about it in today's standards. The game's called Star Raiders. They print that pretty much all over the box with an S. Yet, the early copies of the game, before they fixed it, say Star Raider. So that's just Raider. So that's what, if you know, you have a really early production cartridge, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that's just a little look into the Atari 400. Anything else to know? The power brick is massive. I mean, you don't get a true... You can't really fathom how heavy this thing is until you hold it in your hand. It's not like super heavy, but it's really heavy for a power brick. But at least they had the decency to end in a little plug. That about sums it up. I'm MoronUnited, and thanks for watching again. Keep on watching Reviewing Rainbow. We have some exciting things coming up. If you have any suggestions or comments, concerns, criticisms, we take everything. We don't really care. Don't hold back. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again next week. Take care.